What is it about the apocalypse that we find so captivating? From movies and books to video games and online discussions, it seems like we're all a bit fascinated by the end of the world. But why? Why do we constantly imagine what would happen if everything we know simply collapsed? In part, it's a chance to escape from the mundane, from our daily routines, the 9 to 5 grind, the bills, and all the little stressors of everyday life. The apocalypse represents a complete reset. No jobs, no traffic, no superficial worries, just survival, pure, raw existence. Strangely, this simplicity seems refreshing to some people. In a way, it's the ultimate escape from a world that can often feel too controlled or too predictable. And then there's the allure of heroism. Apocalyptic stories often focus on individuals or small groups who rise above, who manage to survive and thrive even in a hostile world. It lets us imagine ourselves as the heroes of our own survival tales. People want to believe they'd have the skills, courage, and grit to survive if society fell apart. This fantasy can be empowering, making people feel like they'd find purpose and strength if everything else was stripped away. But there's more to it than just escapism and heroism. Our fascination with the apocalypse may also stem from a deep-seated sense of discontent or distrust. We see political instability, climate change, economic crises, and other global issues that seem impossible to solve. For some, imagining a world post-collapse is easier than imagining how we'll solve our current problems. The apocalyptic vision can feel oddly comforting, a way to say, yes, it might all go wrong, but at least there's a kind of clarity in that. There's also the thrill of danger without the real risk. Watching a disaster movie or reading about an outbreak lets us experience the adrenaline and suspense without actually having to face real-life danger. It's an emotional roller coaster, a safe way to explore fear, resilience, and desperation without real consequences. Socially, too, the apocalypse has become a way to bring people together. How many times have you heard friends debate about who would survive the longest, or what skills would be useful? This shared fascination creates a common ground, a place where people can bond over hypothetical scenarios. It's a way to joke about something serious, a shared fascination that sparks creativity, imagination, and community, even if it's all a what-if scenario. Interestingly, our obsession with the apocalypse is also tied to how we view the future of technology. We're living in an age where technology grows faster than we can keep up. For some, there's a fear of where it could lead: artificial intelligence, automation, or even weapons of mass destruction. In many apocalyptic stories, technology is a central theme, sometimes as the very cause of society's collapse. These stories reflect our anxieties, warning us about what might happen if we lose control of our own creations. On the flip side, there's also the idea of rebuilding. Apocalyptic stories don't just stop at destruction. They explore what comes next, the rebuilding phase, the chance to create a new society from scratch. This speaks to a very human desire to fix what's broken, to imagine a world that's different, maybe even better than the one we live in now. It's a chance to reimagine society, to eliminate the mistakes of the past and start fresh. And let's not forget the role of the media. In many ways, the media feeds and amplifies our apocalyptic fascination. Headlines often focus on the most shocking, fear-inducing stories, from natural disasters to political conflicts. This constant exposure to crises can make us feel like we're always on the brink, even if that's not necessarily true. The media paints a picture of a world that's increasingly chaotic and fragile, fueling our imagination about what would happen if things truly fell apart. So, what does all this say about us? Maybe it shows that, deep down, we're aware of the fragility of modern life. We realize that despite all our technology, Society is only as stable as the people and systems that uphold it. We know that everything we rely on, electricity, running water, supermarkets, hospitals, could disappear in a flash if something catastrophic happened. Our fascination with the apocalypse could simply be a reflection of our awareness of this fragility, and perhaps a way to confront our deepest fears. But there's something hopeful in our fascination as well. For all the dark scenarios, apocalyptic stories also celebrate human resilience. They remind us that no matter how bad things get, there's always a spark of hope, a belief that people can adapt, rebuild, and carry on. We like to think that if everything crumbled, we'd find a way to survive, to thrive. Even this blend of fear and hope, of destruction and rebirth, is what makes apocalyptic stories so compelling. In the end, the apocalypse is more than just a fascination with chaos. It's a mirror reflecting our fears, our hopes, our dreams, and our doubts about the world we live in. It's a way to confront what scares us, to test our strength, and to imagine what life would be like if we were forced to start over. And maybe, just maybe, it helps us appreciate the world we have a little bit more, flaws and all. Because at the end of the day, there's no place like home, even if it's a bit imperfect.